Welcome everyone. Today on the vocabulary and subculture of, we're covering photographers.
Wow.
Stepping onto a professional production set or walking into a studio feels like walking into a different world. You see expensive lenses, massive lighting grids, or just people yelling all kinds of words you've never heard before. I personally have spent 10 minutes arguing back and forth with a light stand, and of course the light stand won. This community exploded because photography is no longer just about clicking a button. It has evolved into a global, hyper-competitive creative network. You might be dealing with street photographers in Tokyo, a high-end commercial set, or an indie film crew. You quickly notice that these pros operate in a world where time is money and the light might change any second. They are also constantly dealing with tech failures, unpredictable weather, or demanding clients, which means they've had to discard the long textbook explanations to just keep things moving. They've developed a highly efficient verbal shorthand, a fast-paced dialect where complex physics and technical mistakes get compressed into really useful vocabulary. If you don't know the lingo, you're going to get lost on set. But if you master it, you unlock a raw, creative, descriptive way to communicate things like details, strategy, and frustration, something that standard textbook English just can't catch. All of this is to say that photographers have built a fast-paced, highly technical subculture rooted in visual physics, expensive gear, and a sharp vocabulary used to survive tough shoots. When you are behind a camera trying to capture a moving subject while the sun is setting, a single mistake can ruin hours of work. Because of that intense pressure, photographers have created an expressive, unfiltered dialect that balances technicality with great studio humor. Today, we are unlocking the vocabulary and subculture of photographers. We are breaking down 4 essential terms used daily by photographers that are also incredibly useful for adding serious, natural texture to your everyday English outside of the studio. Let's jump right into that first word. Our first phrase is spray and pray. In the photography community, this term describes holding down the shutter button to shoot dozens of photos a second in a blind hope that at least one of the images turns out to be usable. You're spraying and praying and hoping that one of those shots is sharp and in focus. It's the exact opposite of being exact and precise. You are just flooding the camera with data and praying for a miracle. Now, outside of the studio, noting this phrase, spray and pray, can be useful for your professional or casual life. You can use it whenever you see a completely untargeted, disorganized strategy where someone or yourself sends out a massive volume of things just to see what sticks. Here are 2 quick examples. Don't just spray and pray with your job applications. Customize your resume for the roles you want. Our marketing strategy shouldn't be a spray and pray ad campaign. We really need to target our specific users. Now, with those 2 useful examples still in your brain, let's check out how the term flows in the comic dialogue. Enjoy! Did you get a sharp photo of the CEO jumping on the trampoline for the magazine cover? I don't know, man. He was moving way too fast. I just held down the shutter button, closed my eyes, and went full spray and pray mode. Oh no, please tell me you didn't just dump 2,000 identical photos onto the memory card. Hey man, spray and pray is a legitimate artistic strategy. I'm just letting the universe guide my focus. Come on, dude. The universe is going to get us fired. Start scrolling through that spray and pray mess and find us at least one usable photo. Bam! Found it. Look at that. Spray and pray wins again, bro. I'm an absolute genius. I deserve a raise. That was the phrase spray and pray. Leave it in the comments if you've ever used the spray and pray technique in your daily life to try to pass a test or make it through something difficult. Our second term is blown out. In photography, when a shot has way too much light entering the lens, causing the bright areas to turn completely pure white and destroy all the visual details within the image, we say that the image is blown out. It is a total exposure nightmare because you can no longer save a single white pixel. They're all blown out. For example, check out this photo. What do you see? Nothing, right? Because it's completely blown out. Now, in your everyday life outside of the creative studio, blown out is a great adjective to describe a space that is blindingly bright or casually describe something that has completely lost its structural shape. Perhaps something that has been overstretched or something that is visually exhausted. Check out these two standard examples. Don't buy that cheap shirt. The neck will get completely blown out after a single use. When I fully crank up the brightness on my cheap monitor, I lose out all the subtle details. The monitor is completely blown out. Now let's see how it's used in the comic dialogue conversation. Hey, be honest. Do you think the lighting on this landscape shot is a little too bright? A little? Man, it looks like a flashbang went off. The highlights are totally blown out. Come on, man. At least try to guess the location. Use your imagination. Let me guess. It's a polar bear eating vanilla ice cream inside a snowstorm. No, man. It's a crowded beach in Miami. The sand and the sky must have just blended together. The only thing I'm seeing from this blown out photo is a massive headache. I may have taken the absurdity in that conversation up a level, but notice how the conversation flows naturally. If you want to study these exact phrasing structures, cultural notes, and communication dynamics deeply, you don't have to rewatch this video. I packaged the lesson transcript, conversational dialogue scripts, and expanded vocabulary definitions into a clean, structured PDF study companion. Tap the free Google Docs link in the description to study at your own pace. Now, let's jump right back into the third term. Alright, our third term is raw. In standard English, raw means uncooked or unrefined. But in a camera, a raw file is a uncompressed, unprocessed, completely unedited file format straight from the camera sensor that contains all that messy, unfiltered data before any style is applied to the image. Actually, there's a funny stereotype in the photography world where photographers will guard their raw files with their actual lives. If you ask a photographer to hand over their unedited RAWs, it's like asking them to share their bank account password. You better be ready for a knife fight. But enough joking. Outside of the photographer subculture, understanding the concept of raw is incredibly useful for everyday corporate, creative, or academic conversations. It is a fantastic, high-yield way to describe unfiltered emotion, an unedited piece of your honest feedback, a rough first draft concept, or an unrefined, authentic expression that has zero corporate polish on it. It's just straight from your heart. Here are two real-world examples. Okay, sir, I'm going to give you my raw opinion on your proposal. Please don't get angry. Wow, I loved that raw energy of that local street market. It's definitely not overly manicured and only aimed at tourists. Now, with those two examples still in your head, let's check out the comic dialogue to further cement this word inside of your brain. Here we go. Hey, check out our Instagram. I just uploaded the latest batch of photos straight from the camera. No adjustments at all, pure raw photos. Wait, you're presenting the completely raw, unedited photos to the client's Instagram? Are you insane? Why not? I believe in capturing the pure, uncompressed reality of the moment. That's just who I am. Reality looks completely flat and gray in a raw file format, man. They are going to think our camera is broken. No, you're wrong. It creates a raw conversation. It forces them to see the unfiltered artistic experience. The only raw thing here is going to be our client's anger when they fire us. Move over, I'm going to edit them immediately. That was the word raw. Have you ever gotten in trouble for giving your raw opinion on something? Leave it in the comments. Our fourth and final word is flare. Specifically, we're talking about a lens flare. In photography, a lens flare happens when bright lights hit the camera lens directly, scattering internally and creating bright streaks, hazy artifacts, or colorful bursts across the image. Many people think it interrupts the clean frame unless that's the kind of artistic expression you were aiming for. I said many people because of course there are actually some famous people out there who have made their entire career out of these accidental looking lens flares. I'm looking at you, J.J. Abrams. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out any of J.J. Abrams' work. Now, outside of the photography subculture, understanding the concept of a flare is incredibly useful for your everyday life. You can use flare to describe a sudden, intense burst of emotion like a temper tantrum or drama, or a recurring issue that suddenly interrupts a otherwise calm, smooth situation. It'll be clear when you check out the two examples. The business meeting was going smoothly until a huge flare of office politics derailed the entire conversation. I thought the development team had fixed that bug already. Why is it flaring up again? Now that we've heard the two examples, let's check out this word used in the comic dialogue. Look at that. The light is hitting the lens perfectly and creating a massive, beautiful flare right in the center. Are you serious? That flare is completely blocking our view. I can't even see if the subject's eyes are open. Who cares about eyes? I'm channeling my inner J.J. Abrams today. The more lens flare, the more cinematic the shot becomes. We are shooting a corporate headshot for an accountant man. He doesn't need a giant sci-fi streak of light cutting across his forehead. What are you talking about? It adds emotional texture. Actually, let's add another light stand to create a second, smaller flare on the side. The only thing about to flare up here is his temper when he sees this picture. And there you have it, 4 vocabulary words straight out of the global subculture of photographers. Now you know what it means to use the spray and pray technique whenever you're doing something and you're slightly unprepared. You know how to describe when a photo or some sort of item is completely blown out in some way. You know how to use the word raw to describe a completely unfiltered and authentic way of expressing yourself. And lastly, you know the word flare and how to use it when a problem suddenly bursts up and causes a mess. If you want the complete lesson guide, remember the Google Docs link is available directly in the description. Now, if you enjoyed this video and this different way of learning English through comics and through subcultures, I would really appreciate a like and a subscribe. It really helps out the video. Thank you. And with that, keep practicing your conversational English. Be careful with lighting when you're out there taking photos. And I'll see you next week for another vocabulary and subculture lesson. Have a good week. Bye.